Let's talk a little bit about what your friends would say if I asked them about you. Like, how would they describe you?
I think somebody. So I was talking with my buddy Saturday, and he said that I have to fight hard to not be the annoying contrarian. So I come across as probably one way. You know, I'm married. I have 5 children that are all young, very white, but I consume hip hop music, and I love hip hop music and basketball and graffiti art and street art and things like that. So a lot of things that maybe you wouldn't, you know, if me and my family walked into an Olive Garden, you wouldn't think like, that guy grew up loving the Wu-Tang Clan. You know, I got a collared shirt on and I have a professional job and I drive a minivan. So yeah, that's kind of, I don't know, it's probably a decent way.
I love it. Thank you.
Yeah.
So pick a number between 1 and 45.
23. I mean, LeBron just signed with the Lakers, so we'll go with that.
What would you consider your biggest failure that turned out to be your greatest teacher?
Oh man, that's a slam dunk. So my biggest failure was when I was in high school, and I grew up in kind of a small town in Colorado, and I was a really big deal in this small town, right? And so there was this girl that I desperately wanted to be my girlfriend, and I couldn't understand why she didn't want to date me, right? Because I'm a really important person at this high school, at least in my head, right? Like my own. And she just wouldn't. She had wanted nothing to do with me. It was really frustrating because I was used to kind of, you know, if I wanted to be the captain of the basketball team, for example, like I could do it. And so this girl just wouldn't date me. I asked her out on dates. She said no. Asked her to prom. She turned me down. And it was really the first time in my life that I felt like I have failed at a pursuit of something, right? I wanted to date this girl, and she did not want to date me. And then I went away to college, and we had kind of grown up together, me and this girl. And I went away to college at a big university where I realized that nobody cared about, you know, my letter jacket or my accomplishments. And you're just kind of a number in this sea of humanity. And it really humbled me as a person. It brought me down to a level of going, like, I'm not more important than somebody else. And so it started me personally just on a pursuit of humility. What did it mean to be humble? Because I was already there. I didn't really have to pursue it. But what does this really mean? This is a new stage in my life. And it was during that time that I ended up reconnecting with this girl that I had stopped pursuing because I was pursuing something different in my life, and I thought I was never going to get married. I thought I'm gonna travel around the world, and I'm gonna find people and kind of see sort of like what you're doing, right? Like see humanity in people. And so we started talking again, and those feelings start coming up. And she's really attractive, and then we started dating, and then we got married, and now we have 5 kids together. So it's this crazy thing of like this failure in my life, right? It was hard to walk through as a 16, 17-year-old boy that thinks you're a really big deal, and then to be humbled and realize like that's the kind of person that she is, right? She didn't want the guy who was full of himself, who had a lot of bravado. She wanted the guy who was wanting to serve other people, and that's kind of what happened to me. So now she's the greatest. She's the greatest thing that's ever happened to me. So yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Ooh. Pick another number.
17.
What is something you've struggled with that you'd like to overcome?
Something that I have struggled with. I think the fear of the fear that I'm an inadequate father is a struggle that I think about. You're kind of hit with it daily. With our kids are ages 3 to 11 and smashed together there, and so the day-to-day of life, of seeing, of not taking something that your kid is doing and saying like, oh my gosh, they're going to be a serial killer or whatever it is, right? Like your mind goes there, and then I think it's because of me. You know, I see the worst in me sometimes in my kids. I don't see the goodness that's coming out of them as well. And so overcoming that fear and not parenting from a position of fearing that I'm going to be a really terrible dad, but parenting from a position of like, I've been given these children for a very specific reason, and so I'm free to love them as they are, but love them enough to know that they're going to change, and I want to love them through that.
All right, last question.
All right.
If you could share any wisdom with the world today, what would it be?
It's not mine. It actually came from the philosopher and hip hop artist Kendrick Lamar, and he says 4 words, and they're 2 sentences. He says, "Sit down and be humble," right? And there's a unfortunate word in between those, but sit down and be humble, right? that sitting down like this and talking to people and getting to know people instead of, you know, maybe what we tend to do, which is assume about people and then respond to our assumption. But sitting down face to face with people, you know, it enables all effective communication that we've been given as human beings can only happen face to face. There's only so much you can do behind a keyboard or even behind a video. So sitting down with people and just talking about my journey, you know, being humble, in humility, considering that others are maybe better than you. You can learn things from them. So asking a lot of questions. Questions assume humility. When you ask me a question, you're saying, I don't know this about you, but I'd really like to know. And that's a position of humility. And I think that that allows people to feel empowered, and hopefully go and do the same thing, right? To go and walk things out with humility, and ask a lot of questions and not say a lot of stuff.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Like seriously, that was wonderful.
Good.
Great to know you.
Yeah, thank you.
That was awesome. Thanks.
Thank you.